What's up, everybody? So have you ever turned on YouTube to see some sort of video that talks about, hey, you could make hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing this one thing. All you have to do is sign up for this program. And when you go to sign up for that program, you find out that it costs $2, $4, $6, $8, $10,000 in order to sign up for that program. Today, we're going to be talking about the dark side of self-improvement. There are a lot of avenues that you can go to get better at a certain skill, at a certain task, whatever. And I want to make sure that you are on the right path and not spending the money unnecessarily to get the thing that you could probably get by just doing a little bit of a research. My name's Matt with Elevating Yourself, and I have signed up for some of these programs, and I'm sure some of you out there have done the same. I have paid thousands of dollars to better myself, only to find out that I've just wasted that money. And I don't want you to waste that money. So let's get into this. First, let's just talk about the rise of the self-improvement industry. Now, back in 2021, this business was valued at over $41 billion and is expected to be over $60 billion by the year 2030. And these are going to be a wide variety of different avenues that you can go down. Self-help courses, online courses, books, conferences, seminars, apps. There's just an unlimited possibility when you think about self-improvement. But you have to be very cautious because so many of these avenues will talk about how to really better yourself. But in order to better yourself, you've got to fork over a hefty sum of money in order to do so. And I don't know about you, but I'm a little cautious. I don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to waste on this stuff. Now, I'm not opposed to spending money, but I want to make sure that the money I'm putting forth is going to have a good return on it. And when I think about my own personal journey, one of the things that I signed up for was something to get a little bit more familiar with the short-term rental properties. And this seems to be a very big area of the business that people try to get into because it talks a lot about passive income, very easy money it talks about. And so I ended up buying into this program that I spent thousands of dollars on. And the information, although was good, there was no real guarantee. And again, I'm not expecting somebody to guarantee me millions of dollars at the end of this. But again, if I'm going to give you a lot of money, and again, a lot of money is very subjective. What a lot of money is to me versus what this program asks for might be very small. But to me, it's a lot of money. But you have to understand, I did not get anything out of this program. And not only that, but when I tried to reach out to get support, which they offered, I was met with nothing. And then after the program was ending, I gave them specific feedback that said, you know what? I wasn't happy with what I was given. And all I got was, I'm sorry you feel that way. It was nothing to really give me any sort of drive to continue on these paths. And in fact, it led me to think really closely about where I'm spending my money and my time moving forward. And just recently, I came back from a conference, which again, conferences I'm fine with. I'm fine with spending money on books and potentially some courses depending on what they're offering. If I'm learning a skill, yes, I have no problem spending some money to do so. But if you're offering a course that at the end of it really doesn't make me a better person, it's hard to really kind of put a price tag on that. But again, I'm fine with putting money and spending money on my own development. I think that's wise, but I just think we all need to be a little bit cautious on where that money goes. Because one of the conferences that I came back from, it was about leadership. And I wanted to go be around people that were really great in leadership. But what I found was they were just pushing this mentorship program where you could go and learn how to speak and learn how to mentor people and do all these things. And in order to do that, I had to pay $4,500 in order to do so. And I've got a video actually posted about this, which I'll link in the bio. But that's the thing. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if at the end of this, I'm going to be the greatest person alive. And again, I know that's one of the things that you have to have drive for. But again, we are spending money on this. We want to make sure that the money we're putting into it is going to have some good benefit at the end. Otherwise, I'd rather just put that money into some sort of high yield savings account and let it grow a little bit. At least then I'm getting really good returns on it versus nothing. Next, let's talk about how self-development has really become a product. Over the last several years, really it's been commodified. We've looked at growth and success as actually a product that you can buy, which really is kind of scary to think about. And there are all sorts of different things like life coaches, seminars, things like that that will allow you to be better. But I think in a lot of situations, these programs end up making people feel inadequate or make you feel like you constantly have to be working towards something, otherwise you're failing at life. And nobody wants to have that sense of failure. Nobody has a drive to fail at anything, because a lot of times we look at failure as something that's frowned upon instead of something that should be celebrated. And so they use these tactics in order to get you to better yourself and feel like you need to be able to spend this money, otherwise you will just be wasting your time away. And there are so many dangers when you start looking at the focuses on external benefits, thinking about money, success, things of those nature. People want to be able to do or make so much more money, and it just doesn't put you in the right place, because when you don't reach that area or when you don't reach that success, what happens? You start putting yourself down. You start thinking you've not made the difference that you wanted to, and you start to really just kind of shut down. And I don't want anyone to feel that way. I think that there are lots of areas out there that you can use to make yourself better, and do it for the right reasons. In so many videos that I talk about, I use the word success, but I use the word success in a way to think about what it is that makes you happy. Whatever that piece is, that is where your success lies. And if you have the success of making more money, then you have to be prepared for a potential long journey to make that happen. And so many of these products in the self-development industry say they're going to offer these quick fixes, these easy ways for you to do X. But you have to realize anything that's worth doing is going to take time. It's going to take effort. It's not an overnight turnkey operation. And anything that fits into that mindset probably isn't worth doing, or it may have some unethical avenues that you will fall down. And I don't want anyone to be able to make money or make success by doing things the wrong way. And I get it. You have to market it that way because, can you imagine if some sort of program talked about it like this? Are you tired of being handed success overnight? Sick of those quick fixes that promise instant success with very minimal effort? Well, here at Slow and Steady Enterprises, we believe that real success is best served with long hours, relentless effort, and sometimes breaking down a bit. Nobody would want to buy that. And I get it. It doesn't sound sexy when you talk about programs like that. But when you say, how would you like to make $1 million in 2 months? Or how would you like to lose 30 pounds in a month and a half? Of course people are going to want to do that. People are like, yeah, I don't have time to lose weight. I can't work out for the next 7 to 8 months or 2 years or whatever the case may be. I want it right now, right? We live in this instant gratification society. So we can't just sit around and wait for something great to happen. We've got to make it happen. And that's the thing. I don't want people to ever think that getting someplace is about being lazy. But you don't always have to get it today. You don't always have to expect it tomorrow. Real sustained growth takes time, it takes effort, and you have to be willing to put in that time and effort in order to make your success. And next, let's just talk about the negative side of this self-development culture. It is a fine thing to be able to want to develop yourself, but so many times, so many of these programs and so much pressure leads to things like burnout and complacency and just a lack of drive in general, and it makes you feel inadequate inside. And when you get into that place, it can be so hard to get yourself out of it, especially if you don't have a strong support structure. And just chasing these external markers can have such a big impact on your mental well-being. So many of these paths get exhausting, and I'm not talking about putting forth a lot of physical effort, but the mental effort that is put forth for so many of these programs can lead to some very dramatic outcomes. And the last thing I want people to do is work themselves to the bone and spend thousands and thousands of dollars only to come out the other side worse off than they really are. And so making those smart choices, and again, smart choices not only with your money, but smart choices with your time and your effort can also be the thing that make you successful. And again, with this self-development culture, there is always this pressure to be improving at a constant rate or continuing to push yourself as hard and as fast as you possibly can go. it doesn't make sense to do so. Before you know it, you will look back and you will find that 20, 30, 40 years of your life is gone because you were pushing yourself to get to the thing that you wanted, only to find out that that thing that you really wanted was 20 years ago. And now you've spent so much time out of the loop trying to put yourself into a better position when realistically the better position that you really wanted was right in front of your eyes. So why is true growth uncomfortable? When thinking about your own personal development, it's about putting yourself into uncomfortable positions. And that is a hard thing to do in a lot of situations because realistically, we don't like to be uncomfortable. When we get uncomfortable, we tend to kind of shy or shut down a little bit. But you push forward, and what happens is you're no longer uncomfortable in that situation and you're growing. And that is why they attribute uncomfortability with true growth. And instead of blaming your lack of productivity on distractions, maybe it's about looking a little bit deeper into yourself to understand what sacrifices can you make. I was talking to a colleague of mine recently where he was talking about what he wanted to do with his life. And I'd asked him, I was like, what's stopping you? And he's like, you know what? I just don't have time. I just don't have time. I've got to pick up my wife. I've got to take my kids here. I've got to do this. I understand that completely. There are always going to be obstacles that we have in our life. And when I take a look at time, time is the biggest thing that sometimes is the hardest for us to carve. But if you are strategic about your time, you will find that there is more of it than you really knew. When I think about my own personal growth, even thinking about creating videos, I didn't know if I was going to have time. I consider myself to be very busy with a family, with kids that do sports and external activities. I'm always on the go. And I know I've got more time, but I just have to be strategic about it. I have to make sure I also am disciplined with it as well. When I sit down to record videos, I set out specific days that I do my research. I set out specific times that I'm doing research so that I have that time in place, ready to go. I set out specific times when I record videos. It always happens at the same time. And when I get into this rhythm, I find myself becoming more and more productive. And not only that, I've started to really be specific with my time to the point where I actually find out that I have more time available to work on my videos and work on the things that make me better and spend more time with my family. Just know that when going through this, there is going to be a need for self-awareness and emotional resilience and setting yourself some strong boundaries in order to make yourself the most successful you can be. So finally, I just want to leave you with 8 points that you can work on in order to make yourself better when it comes to self-development. First, it's just building consistent habits instead of rapid transformation. Then focus on process, not outcomes. After that, I want you to make sure you're prioritizing your mental and your emotional health over any sort of productivity. After that, make sure you're cultivating self-awareness over seeking any sort of external solutions. Then I want you to develop emotional resilience instead of avoiding those discomforts that are out there. After that, fostering lifelong learning instead of any seeking of instant expertise. After that, practice gratitude and contentment instead of constantly chasing more. And then finally, establishing healthy boundaries instead of overcommitting on anything. Thanks again for watching. I hope you were able to get some good information to really make some better decisions about what it is that's going to benefit you in the long run to aid in your own success. Remember, there are some great programs out there and there are some very unhealthy programs out there. Just make sure you're doing the research necessary in order to find the one that's right for you. Please make sure to go and check a couple of the other videos that I've got posted right now. I think they can definitely help you in looking for your own success and how to better yourself. Remember, elevating yourself to the next level starts with just a single step. Make sure you're taking that step today. We'll see you next time.